Figuring out what to charge as a freelance video editor is one of those things that sounds simple until you actually sit down and do the math. Get it wrong and you will either be starving for work or working way too much for too little. I learned this the hard way, undercharging, taking every gig, and then wondering why I was always behind, exhausted, and still broke. It actually took a necessary break from freelancing to gain the perspective I needed to reset my entire approach. When I finally came back, I completely rebuilt how I price my work, and almost instantly, everything in my business changed for the better. I started treating my editing like the serious business it truly is, tracking every single expense and accounting for all my unbilled hours. Crucially, I set a rate that honestly covered my actual cost of living and running a business. Now, I want to walk you through those exact same foundational steps I used to get my pricing right. Plus, I'll show you a real workflow trick I use now to both save massive time and actually earn more money simultaneously. This secret involves repurposing long videos into dozens of viral clips using smart tools, which increases revenue without leading to total burnout. Let's dive into step 1, which is getting a brutally honest total of all your yearly expenses. I know this sounds basic, but trust me, so many talented people skip this crucial part of the calculation. You absolutely need this number to be entirely honest with yourself about your financial needs. This means you must include all your personal costs, things like your rent or mortgage payment, groceries, utilities, and transportation. Don't forget healthcare, your phone bill, and even the smaller, less obvious stuff like clothes, entertainment, and travel allowances. Make sure you also add in any current savings goals you have and all of your existing loan payments. Next, you must meticulously list out all of your separate business costs for the year. That includes software subscriptions, essential plugins, music licensing fees, and stock footage purchases you make. Also remember motion templates, external drives, necessary monitor upgrades, and any service you pay for monthly like website hosting or cloud storage. If you happen to rent dedicated studio space or spend money on any marketing efforts, you absolutely must include those figures too. A massive area people consistently undercount is their actual hardware costs because video editing just chews through machines incredibly fast. You really need to plan ahead for replacing your primary laptop or upgrading vital storage every few years to stay efficient. If you fail to track this depreciation, your hourly rate might look fine on paper, but you'll end up buying that new gear out of your operating budget. As a personal rule, I actually like to slightly overestimate these costs to build in a small financial cushion. Having that little bit of extra buffer money is what stops those nasty, unexpected equipment surprises from derailing your month. Here is a quick pro tip if you happen to share household expenses with a partner or spouse. You should first figure out the total household expenses and then subtract their take-home pay from that total. The remaining remainder is precisely the amount your entire freelancing income needs to cover each month. For the actual example I use when teaching students this method, I plug in an annual expense figure around $50,000. That 50K number often represents a healthy, realistic middle ground for many working creators, depending on their specific cost of living area. Moving on to step 2, you need to accurately figure out how many hours you can realistically bill to clients each week. This is the exact point where most aspiring freelancers get a little bit too dreamy and unrealistic in their expectations. You might casually think 40 working hours a week are all billable, but I promise you that is almost never the actual case. Remember, you have client acquisition time, sending out pitches, updating your online portfolio, and managing social posts. You also spend time on invoicing, essential bookkeeping, project management overhead, tax preparation, and necessary professional development. All of this essential administrative work eats up a surprisingly significant amount of your total available time. You should start viewing all this unbillable administrative work as a direct investment into your future business growth. The outreach and marketing you execute today will absolutely pay off later with higher paying, better clients. However, you must be brutally realistic. If you are hustling full-time, aim for a billable rate of about 70 to 75% of your total working hours. So if your goal is a comfortable 40-hour work week, you should conservatively plan on only having around 28 to 30 truly billable hours. If you travel frequently, take more personal days off, or spend a lot of time in client feedback meetings, you should proactively drop that billable number even lower. You also must deliberately build in dedicated time for your own professional development every single month. Take those crucial courses, watch detailed tutorials, learn advanced color grading, or master new motion graphics. You need the skill set to raise your rates. Yes, these essential learning hours are unbillable, but they are arguably the most critical investment you can make for future earnings. Step 3 is about adding in all the employee benefits that you, as a freelancer, must now cover yourself. A huge persistent myth in the industry is that freelancers somehow don't need to charge for things like paid time off or their own healthcare coverage. The reality is that you absolutely must bake all of those employment perks directly into your final hourly rate calculation. First, decide exactly how much paid time off you want to take throughout the year. 2 weeks is reasonable for beginners starting out. As you grow your business, 3 to 4 weeks of PTO is a more sustainable and appropriate target to aim for. Next, you need to budget for annual health insurance premiums. For many people, this easily amounts to several $1,000s every single year. In the standardized example I use, I factor in a baseline of $7,200 annually for health costs. Then you must decide on a responsible amount for your own retirement savings, perhaps starting with a baseline of $5,000 per year. Finally, you must accurately estimate your future tax obligations because you are now responsible for paying both halves of Social Security and Medicare contributions. Plus, you are likely paying quarterly estimated taxes to the government throughout the year, which requires saving money consistently. A rough safe number to use as a buffer for all your self-employment taxes is about 25 to 30% of your expected taxable income. Understand this percentage heavily depends on your specific tax bracket and the deductions you actually plan to take. Once you have your annual expenses, your realistic billable hours, and all those essential benefits accounted for, you divide to calculate your bare-bones hourly rate. That resulting number is your absolute non-negotiable baseline rate that you must charge just to break even. But hold on, before you proudly plaster that calculated number on your professional profile, you must calibrate it against your actual skill level and the current market. Seriously assess what specific high-value services you actually offer to clients right now. If you are just starting out today, you will naturally need to charge significantly less than an editor with a killer portfolio and 5 years of proven client work. Your geographic location also plays a role. Rates are generally higher in major metropolitan areas, and the remote market has its own variations. Take time to look at platforms like Upwork or specialized creator groups to see what established editors at your experience level are currently charging for the exact type of edits you perform. A crucial warning though, please do not become a merchant in the race to the bottom game. Your time and expertise have inherent, undeniable value. Now let's talk about the angle that fundamentally changed the trajectory of my entire freelance business model. One incredibly effective way to increase your real revenue without constantly hiking your standard prices is by intelligently repackaging the content you create. If you shoot or edit one long-form piece of content, maybe a podcast, an interview, or a long tutorial, that footage is an absolute goldmine. That single-source video can generate dozens of short, punchy clips perfectly optimized for all your social platforms. Instead of charging only for that single long edit, you can now deliver a premium package, the long edit plus a set of ready-to-post, curated short clips. This is precisely where smart, specialized tools become an absolute game changer for your efficiency and profit. You might be familiar with tools like Descript, CapCut, or maybe even Premiere integrations that attempt to help you chop up long videos automatically. Those tools are generally fine for very simple, straightforward jobs, but they fall short when you need high volume, real speed, and genuine virality. The reason is they often still require a surprising amount of tedious manual work after the initial AI pass. Their automated AI can frequently miss those truly punchy, emotionally engaging moments that make content shine. Also, scheduling the final posts is usually an entirely separate step you have to handle somewhere else entirely. Furthermore, some of these options become quite pricey for creators who just need one streamlined workflow that actually scales efficiently. For my business, using a tool called Vizard completely changed how I package and deliver my client work. Instead of spending grueling hours just hunting for those highlight moments manually, Vizard automatically detects the most viral-worthy sections in your long footage. It then instantly turns those moments into completely ready-to-post clips, properly formatted for social media. Critically, I can set the desired posting frequency, let the AI auto-schedule the content, and manage the entire campaign from a single, unified content calendar. Think about that transformation. What used to be a 4-hour job just to cut a long video and then manually make 5 separate social clips now takes less than an hour using this automation. That massive time saving immediately frees me up to take on more paid editing work or allows me to confidently include those clips as part of a much higher value package. Let's quickly compare that efficiency to doing everything the old manual way. You'd spend all your precious billable hours hunting for those perfect moments, aligning cuts to audio beats and resizing for 3 different platforms. Then you still have to manually upload and schedule every single piece of content across every single application. Even compared to some competitors that charge you per clip or lock you into expensive rigid plans, Vizard offers a much more creator-friendly combination of automation plus necessary creative control. I will be honest, it's not perfect for every single type of editor out there. If you need ultra-custom complex motion design work, you will still need to execute that specific part entirely by hand. But for the primary task of content repurposing and achieving high volume, it is an absolutely monumental time saver for your schedule. Here are a couple of practical examples to illustrate the point using that $75 per hour rate. Imagine you charge $75 per hour and you have a standard 2-hour podcast to edit for a client. The manual process involves 3 to 4 hours for the long edit, plus another 4 to 6 hours just creating 6 separate social clips. With Vizard integrated, the main long edit still takes time, but those accompanying clips can be auto-generated and scheduled in under 60 minutes. That workflow change has the potential to effectively double your hourly revenue on that single project, or lets you offer clip bundles clients happily pay a premium for. Moving to step 4, you must always be prepared to negotiate with clients, but you need to set firm, predefined limits for yourself. Always establish a clear floor, that is your absolute minimum acceptable rate that you will never go below. Some clients will inevitably try to haggle over the price, especially smaller businesses working with tight budgets. Instead of immediately slashing your established rate, be willing to discuss the project scope and offer tangible alternatives. You can suggest phased project work, delivering fewer initial deliverables, or even offering a small trial project at a reduced rate with a clear agreement. The agreement must state that your standard full rates will automatically apply after a successful trial period concludes. If you are trying to break into a brand new high-value market, you might temporarily offer an introductory price for your services. Just make sure you clearly communicate that this is an introductory offer tied specifically to them providing you with valuable feedback or a strong testimonial. Doing this prevents the dangerous perception that you are always the cheapest option available in the marketplace. Finally, step 5 is the ongoing process. You must regularly review and adjust your pricing structure at least every 6 to 12 months. Your established rate is definitely not a permanent tattoo engraved on your business plan. It should evolve. If client demand consistently grows, your projects become technically more complex, or you learn major new skills like advanced color grading, you must raise your rates accordingly. If clients are lining up for weeks or you have a consistent waiting list, that is the clearest possible signal that you are severely undercharging right now. Conversely, if the overall market softens unexpectedly, be flexible with your approach, but never compromise your mental sanity or business health. Let me leave you with this final, most important thought. Never ever undervalue the specialized skills you bring to the table. Your time, your professional tools, and your specialized brainpower are inherently worth a significant amount of money. Use realistic numbers for all expenses and billable hours, add in your benefits and taxes, and let those figures mathematically guide your final hourly rate. Then, and only then, look for smart ways to increase your revenue without turning yourself into a non-stop, perpetually exhausted editing machine. Repurposing content effectively with tools like Vizard has been one of the single best strategic moves I have ever made for my business sustainability. To be perfectly clear, this isn't some magical silver bullet for success. You will still need to edit creatively and manage client relationships with care. But for me, this specific strategy turned extra, draining hours that used to yield no income into genuine, sustainable extra income without leading to complete professional burnout. Now I have to ask, did I miss anything crucial in your own pricing strategy? Do you price your freelance projects in a completely different way that I haven't mentioned here today? Drop a comment down below right now and tell the community exactly how you successfully manage your own project pricing. If this detailed breakdown helped you at all, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Also, check out Vizard to see if that specific repurposing workflow might be a great fit for your current editing demands. This is especially true if you are sitting on hours of valuable long-form footage that could be working much harder for your bottom line. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of this advice today. Now go do the necessary math, set a truly fair and sustainable rate, and finally make your editing career pay you the way it absolutely should.